Welcome in, guys, and welcome back to the Marshall Experience. We are so excited to be back. It is that time of year again, football season, and fantasy season is just around the corner. So we are gearing up, and we might have to shake some rust off, but we're going to get through it. Obviously, welcome to the Marshall Experience. We are powered by Sports Lounge Media, guys. If you have not gone to check them out, again, big things happening over there, continue to happen, and the growth is quite pleasing to watch. So I want you guys to be a part of that, and so go check them out on all platforms. And that's who we work through, and we're all teaming together to bring you guys some great things. So hey, we're not going to really beat around the bush here. We're going to get right into things. We are doing tonight a 32 team, or well, I guess I should say 31 team because I think there's a team with two picks in the first round, right? So we are going to do a full first round mock draft. Let's just say that. And we are going to go over each pick. We're not going to do trades. We're not going to dive into it that deep just yet. We got a couple weeks here before the draft, and big news coming on that later, guys. So stay tuned. We're just going to do a simple explain. Positional needs are going to be a major thing tonight for this mock draft. Okay, we're going to value those positional needs more than the best player available or the wants, right? So we're going to get right into this. Let me load this up, change the screen here so we can get on the screen share, and we can do this live with you guys. So, all right, here we go. All right, guys. Like I said, stick with me. We're going to go through pick by pick. No trades. We're just going to basically explain everything. As far as this first one goes, I don't really think that there is much explaining to do, right? Raiders, they need a franchise quarterback. It meets the most needs. I think this is probably the most predictable and easiest pick of the draft. And most of the time is, right, because we clearly know what the worst team in the NFL needs. So Fernando Mendoza is going to be an Oakland Raider next year, right? I think we can all bank on that. Fantasy wise, what does that do, right? Fantasy wise, again, a franchise quarterback, right? You are guaranteed to probably get 3 or 4 years of starting quarterback. This is not a Shadur Sanders where he comes in and there's no guarantee that he's the starter, right? This isn't this is more of a Caleb Williams. This is more of a Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels. These are the guys that for a fact are going to be day one starters, and you can draft these guys because you're able to start them. We will probably get into a little bit more on the value side later on, but fantasy wise. But let's let people get drafted first because, as we know, the team that they go to matters quite a bit. So Jets are on the clock, right? Okay, so the Jets clearly need a quarterback. There is no other quarterback other than Mendoza that needs even remotely close to being this high on the board. Okay. So obviously quarterback is not going to be, something that teams are going to be trading up for at this point. This is not something that there's just a big gap. There's a big, massive gap in talent wise. And I think honestly, the next person is probably Ty Simpson from Alabama. So, again, big gap here. So I think we're going to see a run that's going to have no quarterbacks. But again, I think that stresses, Mendoza in his college year and going to the Natty, winning the Natty, winning the, just all the accomplishments that he had Um, I think that speaks volumes for that pick. So the Jets again. The Jets are on the clock at 2. Um, for me, it doesn't. It's one or two options for the Jets. I think that the Jets are absolutely in. I don't even want to say rebuild mode because when have they not been in rebuild mode? Um, but I just think they're stuck in a rut. Obviously, defense does win championships. You trade Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys. You get Quincy Williams is now out. Sauce Gardner got traded recently. You know what I mean? The defense is absolutely falling apart. I think that they go at 2. I think they go after somebody here, one of the linebackers, either Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles. I think that Arvell Reese could be an edge rusher. I think Sonny Styles is more of the inside linebacker. Okay. But scrolling down here a little bit, David Bailey. David Bailey is very intriguing. I think that Bain will fall off just a smidgen because of his measurements in the combine. However, David Bailey, right? Quarterback is still in need. Okay. But edge is also premium, and Bailey fits the difference maker, right? Hole on that defense. Okay. Again, you let go of Quinnen Williams, and you need somebody to build around. I think David Bailey is one of the top prospects that's going to come out of this draft. I think a couple years from now, we're really going to look at, you look at past draft classes, right, and kind of see if teams could have done better or if they made the right choice. And I think that David Bailey is going to be one of those ones, if he's not taken in the top 3, that is going to be a couple years later down the road one of those question marks of what didn't people see, right? The measurements aren't jump off the page, no, but the athleticism is the grit, the just the way that the style of play that he has. It needs to be on an NFL field. So I'm going to take David Bailey here at number 2 for the Jets. Again, not a lot of people like it. Okay, not a lot of people like it. But I think I'm very high on David Bailey, and I probably will continue to be. So we got number 3. Number 3, the Cardinals are on the clock, and a lot of people here scream Ty Simpson. Okay, I do not. I think 3 is a probably one of the bigger reaches since Daniel Jones at 6. For the Giants, but we could talk about Mitchell Trubisky and the Bears, or there's a few that we could go down the list and call reaches, right? But I think that if they were to take Ty Simpson, that is definitely going to be one of those. I do think that he's probably an early second pick. The Steelers, they are probably going to get Rodgers back for 1 year. If not, they already have Will Howard, who's been sitting a year. I don't think there's a lot of teams that are screaming quarterback to spend a number 3 overall. The Cardinals could have Jacoby Brissett back for a year and just be that bridge player. So that's what I'm assuming. Fans, I don't think it's going to be any worse or any better than what Kyler Murray was doing. I mean, if we look back at last year, Brissett was bad in fantasy. Not bad at all. I mean, I think if quarterback, that's an intriguing mid-tier quarterback that I could probably get behind. I mean, you got Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson here, and if Jacoby Brissett, thing of Jameis Winston-esque, throw the ball. That are your receivers. So I would be be intriguing to see what they do at the quarterback position. But again, for me personally, number three is way too high for Ty Simpson. So here, I am going to go. I am going to go Arvell Reese. Okay, I think that again, last year they spent some money on Josh Sweat. Right, took Josh Sweat from the Eagles. You still got Buda Baker over there. You just drafted Will Johnson last year. I think that this could just kind of mesh everything together and they become a younger defense. Again, something to build around. Now you have Will Johnson, Arvell Reese. You have again Josh Sweat on a 3-year contract still. So I think this is big for them. A lot of people are also saying Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love doesn't make a lot of sense right here. I think that it doesn't move the needle for them. Okay. I think Jeremiah, now that's probably a poor choice of words because I think Jeremiah Love moves the needle for anybody. I just don't think that it makes sense for the Cardinals. Okay, again, we are making this as of positional needs, right? We are not making this as best player available or wants or the oohs and the ahs. We are making our team better from an overall standpoint, right? So, quarterback top need, again, way too high for Ty Simpson. That gap is insurmountable and is definitely not. I'm sorry, Ty, but not worth the top 3 pick. Again, you see defensive inside, defensive tackle, and then linebacker to finish it off. So again, this is where I think we go Arvell Reese. I think it kind of rounds out that defense quite a bit, and I think he's going to be a real solid player in the NFL. I do. Okay, now we get to where Jeremiah Love very well 85% could come off this board. I think that Jeremiah Love in a Tennessee uniform will have Tennessee fans reminiscing of Chris Johnson. I mean, I'm might be a little biased. I'm a Notre Dame fan, but I haven't been this high on a running back since Saquon Barkley of his combine stats, right? I mean, the guy is good. I'd be intrigued to see, a lot of people are like, well, Notre Dame had one of the best offensive line. We do typically have one of the best offensive lines, right? We do produce NFL ready talent on the O-line position. However, if you look at last year's, it was not, I wouldn't say premium. I would say good, not premium. Definitely teams that had better stats. But regardless, Jeremiah Love, phenomenal season, Heisman contention, right? But I think this absolutely moves the needle for the Titans, right? You got to think about it. Last year they pushing all their chips on Cam Ward. Okay, you got Calvin Ridley, Alec Allamore. You kind of got Tony Pollard over there. But again, Tony Pollard's going up in age. And I can't tell you one person that thought that the Tajay Spears process was going to work. I think that Tajay Spears could be a 1-2 back like he is healthy, but there's no way that he could carry a load of a running back 1. So this is where Jeremiah Love steps in, right? I think that Jeremiah Love steps in day 1 starter. Again, Cam Ward, brand new weapon, brand new running back. Honestly, guys, the Titans' offensive line is not the worst in the league. They got Peter Skoransky. They could build around that in this draft. I think that Jeremiah Love could be going into a very decent situation here. I mean, we got to think about it. If he doesn't go at 4, he's not 5 to the Giants. Scatabo, that's not going to happen. He's not going to go 6 to the Browns because of Junkins and Sampson. He could get the next pick would probably be Washington or New Orleans. I could see him going to Washington, but here I think the Tennessee Titans again are willing. Top need, guys. I don't think that you pass that up. I don't think you can. And I think if you do, you're very close to losing your job. Okay, so we're going to take Jeremiah Love at 4. That brings me to the New York Giants. Okay, so we got a couple options here. Okay, we do have a couple options. As you can see, the needs on the clock, wide receiver. Okay, so do we get Jackson Dart a new weapon next to Malik Neighbors? Malik Neighbors is coming off an injury last year, a major injury. Do we help that situation? I think Wandell Robinson. Speaking of, just went to the Titans, I believe. So he's gone, and Jackson Dart's got what? Him, Slayton, Scattaboo. I mean, there's definite room for a wide receiver, right? Guard. I think that the guard from Penn State. I'm not even going to attempt his name. We'll just call him Ola. Not because I'm not going to butcher it. Give him the respect of that. But I think that here, a linebacker, a safety, right? You got Sony Styles. You got Caleb Downs, right? It's a possibility. I could see either of those two picks. But I think that Carnell Tate for the New York Giants is, again, guys, top need. It's a little bit of both, right? It's a little bit of, well, it's a need for us. And I think that we get the value there, right? Carnell Tate, his speed with Malik Neighbors' speed would be insane. Not to mention, their speed is going to clear out the outside edges, which is going to allow Jackson Dart to run a little bit. I could definitely see Carnell Tate just, and this is coming from an Eagles fan, guys. I mean, that's scary. That's a lot of speed on one team, and if Jackson Dart can make it work, I mean, their defense is already stacked. Realistically, their only hole on their defense is the safety position. So do I see them going after a Caleb Downs or a Dylan Feynman? I think Dylan Feynman is a little high. Caleb measurements didn't really pop off the board, right? So I'm going to go Carnell Tate, top wide receiver need, and then we're going to pair him with Malik Neighbors. All right. Now we're on the Browns at number 6. So quarterback. I don't think they need a quarterback. I'm not the biggest Shadur fan. However, I think that he deserves. He's shown flashes. He's shown flashes last year. I think he deserves a full year. I'd have been curious what the Browns would have looked like if Dylan Gabriel just wouldn't have never gotten a shot. That if it would have been Shadur from day one, right? I think that he should have been the starter just because you're kind of at that point kind of seeing what you got, right? I mean, I understand they both had to get some reps in, but I think Shadur was kind of held back a little bit longer. So again, let's give him a full year, but let's possibly also give him a weapon, right? You got Sadiq there. You got Joku, who just left. You got Fanning Jr., who you just drafted, right? So maybe we don't go Sadiq because of Fanning Jr. We got Mekhi Lemon there at 6. I think that's way too high for Mekhi Lemon. So we're going to go on to other needs, guard and tackle, right? Again, I think that guard, Eula from Penn State, just a little bit high just yet. So I'm going to go one of my favorite tackles in the draft, Francois Monunga. We're going to take him to Cleveland. I think that he is going to have Shadur's backside very well. I think that Shadur can definitely be more of himself with a big body guy around here like this. Feel a little bit more protected, right? And it's about protecting the assets. So if Shadur has a little bit more time in the pocket, maybe he gets some things done. So we're going to take the tackle position, whether he's going to play left or right. We'll leave that up to Cleveland. So we're going to take Francois here. All right, that pushes us down to 7 at the Washington Commanders. And unfortunately for them, I do think that the Tennessee Titans do take Jeremiah Love. I think if Jeremiah Love is not on this point at this is on the board at this point, obviously it's a no-brainer, right? But for me, I think that it's definitely transpires this way. And so now we're looking at running back, wide receiver, defensive line, or safety. Again, I think that Sonny Styles is more going to be more of a inside linebacker. So for me, it's not going to fix their defensive line problem. We could go at a Ruben Bain Jr. here. I know some Chief fans that would upset quite a bit. But we can also look at safety here, guys. I think that Washington is at a point. Jaden Daniels coming off an injury. Terry McLaurin just got the extension. But is blanked on their running back position was probably that bad. That's why they need it. But their defense isn't anything to really speak on. So, I think to help out a young quarterback, you get him a young defensive stud to, again, build around. Maybe you attract some free agents that want to come play with this young guy. I think that the Washington Commanders are in a spot to where they can address a need and a want at the same time and take a stab into a potential top 5 talent in Caleb Downs. Again, measurements did not pop off the board, but the style of play, I think he's definitely a scheme fit for them. And I'd be excited, even as an Eagles fan, to see what Caleb Downs could do in a Washington Commander uniform. I think you could potentially see some Sean Taylor reminiscences over there in Washington. So at number 8, the New Orleans Saints. Again, wide receiver, defensive line, and linebacker. They're just coming off of having one of the longest tenured veterans in Demario Davis. He is deciding on his future. I'm not sure if he's going to be with them next year or retired or what the case is. So I won't speak on that. But I do know that, is up there in age. If he does stick with them, maybe that's a mentor position. I could see that being a screaming Sonny Styles, right? Get him in there. You sign, even if Demario Davis is a free agent, right? You sign him to a 1-year veteran deal. Hey, man, we just need you to come in here, get this kid right. We appreciate everything you've done for us. Now send us off into the sunset, right? A lot of teams do that. A lot of rookies, mentors. I think this is the absolute perfect position for them. And so we're going to go Sonny Styles to the Saints. All right, now we can make some Chief fans happy, right? So I could also see, once we get into things, I could also see this being a trade spot for a lot of teams. But again, we're going to give that a few weeks and have some fun with that. So the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs need a wide receiver. Okay, they need an edge rusher, right? But this is where I'm at, okay? You just let Jalen Watson. You just traded Drent McDuffie. Your 2 starting corners. One's an all-pro. One was an all-pro. and we traded McDuffie, and then Jalen Watson joined him on the Rams. That's scary. Thanks for that. Um, but that's an obvious screaming need. I mean, I think they got Williams. I think they got a guy they drafted last year. They got a little bit, right? But nowhere near enough to compete with. I mean, shoot, at that point, you can't even keep up with Buffalo, the Chargers, um, the Broncos. They have good wide receivers. You know what I mean? Like they just got Waddle. Who are you going to keep up with? You're not. And that's more the point there. I think for me, right, I understand a lot of Chief fans that because I'm from the Illinois area, if you guys didn't know that. So, I get a lot of Chief fans that are like, I get their wants quite a bit, right? I ask. So I get a lot of Reuben Bain Jr. Okay, a lot of Reuben Bain Jr. I think a lot of them would like to see him with a Chris Jones for the next year or two, while Chris Jones is on his way out. I think it would be a great pick. Okay, I think it would be a great pick. However, I think again, to the point of the episode, we are doing the team needs first, valued them first, and I think DB is a major need. Okay, so Mansour Delane out of LSU, I think fits the spot here, man. I think he comes in as a day one starter, and I think he's your CB1. I think that the guy is worth the ninth pick, and I think you'd be surprised what this guy can do in Kansas City. So, boom, next pick, number 10, right? The Bengals. Okay, so now we're at a point of where what do we do? Do we help Joe Burrow? Do we help? I mean, well, either way, we're helping Joe Burrow. But do we help protect Joe Burrow, or do we help this stingy defense? Right. For me personally, right. Um, the defense is the majority of the. I mean, even when they went to the Super Bowl, guys, the problem was the defense, right? I think that the defense has been a glaring need for years. I think they have addressed it a small bit, but obviously, where the majority of the money is in the big three, right, if you will. So, for me, we got guard, defensive or defensive interior, linebacker, or safety. Okay, for me personally, this one is screaming Reuben Bain Jr. I don't think that he makes it past 10. That's just my personal opinion. You got a lot of tackles here, tight end, wide receiver, the guard from Penn State, another corner, linebacker, wide receiver. Any of that, guys. So in retrospect, I mean, Reuben Bain Jr. or Dylan Theinman are the only ones that make sense here. Okay. I mean, they could go offensive line, but again, they need more of interior than they do exterior. So the tackles being right there, again, I think it's just too high for the Penn State guard at 10. So we're going to take Reuben Bain Jr. here. He's going to be a Cincinnati Bengal, and we're going to see how that goes. Number 11, we're going to go with the Miami Dolphins. Their needs are wide receiver, guard, and corner. Okay. So wide receiver, guard, corner. Well, they definitely, most certainly need wide receiver, right? Just traded Jalen Waddle to the Denver Broncos. Tyreek Hill is obviously not going to be a Dolphin. What does that really leave him? Well, it's not pretty. Really the whole team as a whole, no more Tua. Malik Willis is the new quarterback over there in Miami. Devon Achane is still around, but for how long? So I think we got to bring something in, right? I think for us, we got to bring something in that gives us that star power. Okay. I think Mekhi Lemon here. I think Mekhi Lemon, they draft a wide receiver. He did have a little pre-draft issues with maybe they were saying his person, like the way he carried himself. I didn't necessarily agree. I mean, I think he had some questionable answers, but nobody has ever questioned the guy's work ethic. Nobody's ever questioned the guy' ability on the field. So I think he comes in. He's a difference maker for Miami and Malik Willis day one. I think that is massively huge for the offense and somebody that's trying to basically flip the page, right? Turn the page. So I'm going to take Mekhi Lemon here at number 11. Okay. Now we're on to number 12, the Dallas Cowboys, the Cowgirls. Needs, all right. Needs are going to be defensive interior, linebacker, and corner. Okay. Honestly, for me here, I could see Gerard McCoy. I could see Dylan Thyman, right? He's not a corner, but I think that no, scratch that. We got to stick to our guns. He's not a team need. So we'll stick with team need here, and we're going to go Jermad McCoy or CJ Allen. And me, just personally, I think they do need corner help. I think McCoy can step in and be a day one starter for them. Maybe not a CB1, but definitely a starter for them. We gotta stick with our guns, guys. Once we get to the wants, we can flip it around and maybe play with it a little bit. But pick number 13, the LA Rams. Unfortunately for them, Mekhi Lemon is already gone. Right now, however, the LA Rams, I believe, are one of those teams that have multiple first-round picks. Correct? Oh, the Cowboys do. Okay, so the Rams do not. Sorry, I apologize. Rams and the Rams. God, I can't talk. Sorry. So the LA Rams are on the clock again. Unfortunately for them, Mekhi Lemon, I would like for him to be with Matthew Stafford, but who knows? Maybe they get in the AJ Brown sweepstakes. Like that rumor is going around. So tackle is a big need here, guys. We need to do our best ability to protect Matthew Stafford. The longer Matthew Stafford is in the pocket, the more that he just dissects defenses apart, right? I think for them, there is not a question in Spencer Fano. I think that he's the body type that they need. I think that he reminds me a lot of a Andrew Whitworth of the LA Rams. So we're going to take Spencer Fano there. Moving on to number 14, the Baltimore Ravens, right? Baltimore Ravens. Okay, so now our needs are wide receiver, center, guard, and linebacker. Okay. Now, you can see guard on there, right? Again, I still think it's just a tad bit high. Okay. Center, we won't get into that. I don't think there's any first round centers, I don't think, this year. Wide receiver, again, Mekhi Lemon could be there. Jordan Tyson is there. But I think that, I don't think that that's I don't think that happens. So we're going to go with team need here. Yeah, no, we got to stick to our guns, guys. We got to stick to our guns. Somebody just spoke to me in my ear. We got to speak to our guns. So number one need that makes sense. We're going to go Jordan Tyson. Is Jordan joining the Lamar Jackson and the Ravens? All right, number 15, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First and foremost, first need is a tight end, right? First needs tight end, guard, edge, and linebacker. um, for obvious reasons. You got right here tight end Kenyon Sadiq. Sadiq the Freak. That's what I'm calling him. I mean, the guy's body is insane, measurement wise, right? Combine wise was sensational. I think that you give Baker, Mike Evans just left, so now it's Mbuka, Chris Godwin. Not really sure that Cade Otton gets that job done, right? I mean, Cade Otton's had a few years to where he could have really jumped off the page, but is that somebody that they are fully trusting? I think that Kenyon Sadiq um, could very well be an option here. Again, team needs, guys. Team needs. All right, now we're on to the Jets, who also have 2 first-round picks, right? So with the first pick, we took David Bailey, right? So we can address some more team needs here. We got quarterback, wide receiver, edge, and corner. Okay, I think right here, and I honestly, this kind of makes me mad because I hope this guy falls down to Philly, but Akeem Mesidor, right out of Miami, I think that he was in Ruben Bain Jr.'s shadow quite a bit this year. I think that he can be and will be NFL ready, and I think that he will produce. But do I think that the Jets go back to back edge rushers? No. Okay. Another need on here is corner. I like Avion Terrell. Avion Terrell, the corner out of Clemson, right? I think that again, Sauce Gardner's gone. You need a day one guy, a CB1, and I think Terrell can absolutely come in here and do that. Okay. Now we're on to the Detroit Lions, who, in fact, need to replace some offensive linemen, right? I think they lost the center. I think they always needed a right tackle. I don't think Taylor Decker has ever, or a left tackle. Sorry, where does Panay play? Yeah, right tackle. I think they've always needed a left tackle because Taylor Decker just has always been like a bridge player. I think Monroe Freeling here absolutely fits the mold, fits the play style. He looks and feels and plays like a Dan Campbell guy. So we're gonna go Monroe Freeling to the Detroit Lions. Number 18, um, the Minnesota Vikings. Right, team needs running back, center, defensive interior, and safety. Okay. I don't think there's a question about it. I think this is where, if Dylan Theinman is still here, this is where you see Dylan Theinman go. Safety is a need for Minnesota. Obviously, Jeremiah Love is not making it this far. I don't think that there's anybody that can manage that gap and be a 18th overall pick. So I think Dylan Theinman is the pick here, guys. Now, we get to pick number 19, which is the Carolina Panthers. Shout out to the Bryce Young fans out there. Now, team needs wide receiver, tight end, center, and defensive interior. Okay. Now, a couple things that could happen here. I could obviously see this being a big trade spot, but we're not going to do anything trade wise yet. I think that the Carolina Panthers could very well trade back and still get value here and get a couple extra picks. However, for team needs, right? You got Xavier Legette over there. You got Tet, who you took last year. I think Tet's going to be a hell of a player. Had a heck of a rookie year. And, Bryce Young continue to add to the mold, right? I think Omar Cooper Jr. in from. So we'll go Omar Cooper. Now, for the second time, corner with our pick. So this one, I think, and honestly, this two people we were deciding between, right? C.J. Allen and Jermon McCoy. So I think we're going to take C.J. Allen. We're going to bolster that defense and go from there. These Steelers at 21. Okay, they need a quarterback, right? They need a quarterback. Maybe this is where we see Ty Simpson go. Okay, possibility. But as you can see, there you go, 42. I think that, again, we're going off a team need. If you get Rodgers back, you're only going to get him for a year. Will Howard, is Will Howard the guy? Is he the next franchise quarterback? If you don't believe so, I mean, what else is here? You need a running back. You need a guard. You need a tackle. I get that. There's guards. There's tackles. I could see Ty Simpson here, guys. I could see Ty Simpson, and I think that's what we're going to have to do because of the team needs. Now, also, that guard, the guard from Penn State going to Pittsburgh as well. So, but we'll take Ty Simpson due to the team needs. On clock, these Los Angeles Chargers team defensive. Now, if I go to Pittsburgh, he will go to the Chargers, who are going to try to replace Mekhi Becton, right? Got to protect Justin Herbert. Got to give him the time of the day to do what he needs to do, and that's going to do in this mock draft. The next pick is my beloved Philadelphia Eagles. Some team needs for us, right? Wide receiver, I'm not necessarily getting behind. Unless if I see a wide receiver drafted, we'll know that AJ's gone. I think if they, I think there's some other needs here. Obviously, we got to replace Lane Johnson eventually. A defensive edge rusher would be nice, but I think that we have one glaring hole, and that is the safety position, right? Excuse me. What better way to build chemistry after Reed Blankenship just left to bring in Quinyon Mitchell's old running teammate? Okay, so you're just basically flipping the script. Have some chemistry, have some comfortability, some trust on the defense. I think you bring him in. Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo, I think you bring him in, and they'll create some nickname for you. And I think he comes in day one. He's a contributor. Then your entire secondary is young, which is kind of nice. And I'd definitely be intrigued by McNeil Warren in an Eagles uniform. So we kind of missed out on Malachi Starks last year, which I was bummed out by, but I don't think we can miss out on this year. Number 24, the Cleveland Browns. With the first pick, we took Francois Shadur. Now we need a wide receiver, a guard, or a quarterback. Now, quarterback, again, we already had that conversation. Wide receivers, I'm not sure that there's any here besides Boston, that I can necessarily see. So, could I see the Cleveland Browns going back-to-back tackles? Why not? I mean, their offense was not good, guys. Something's got to change. And again, if you protect the assets, if you give Junkins a decent line, if you give Shadur a decent line, what does that do? So here, again, I'm not trying to reach for anything. I'm going to go team needs. We're getting a damn good offensive line this year, guys. Okay. Number 25 on the clock, the Chicago Bears. Okay. I think at this point, Messidor is almost a steal. I love Messidor in a Bears uniform, and that's me being unbiased. So, it helps them on their defensive end. I like it. I like it a lot. The Buffalo Bills over here at 26. Okay. Oh, I scrolled too far. Come on. There we go. The Buffalo Bills, their needs guard, defensive interior, linebacker, and safety. Okay. I think this is kind of where we could possibly see the first defensive interior off the board, necessarily like a nose tackle. The Jalen Carters, the Jordan Davises, the Chris Jones, and the Quinnen Williams, those types of guys, the guys that can't play the edge, but they're the plug up the holes. So I think that Buffalo does need one of those next to Ed Oliver. I think they need help entirely on the defensive side to help Josh Allen, but I think that Caden McDonald will be, he's not a Jalen or Jordan Davis or again Quinnen Williams or Chris Jones. I hate using Eagles as just examples, but I don't think he's that caliber of a guy, and that's why he's going late in the first. So the San Francisco 49ers. Their team needs are guard, tackle, edge, and safety. Edge is a screaming factor here, right? I think they need to be healthy on the defensive side. I don't know if they really pissed off a voodoo witch or how that really transpired, but the last few years have not been well off for the medical staff of the San Francisco 49ers. They've been earning their paychecks for sure. So with this, we'll look at a couple edge rushers here. I do like Keldrick Falk, but I also like Cassius Howe, and I like Cassius Howe just a little bit more. Measurement wise, play style wise, I think that he could come in. And again, not on a Nick Bosa level, not on, I think he could potentially be like another Mikael Williams, but we're at the end of the first, guys, and we're not talking about guys you're trading up for at this point. We're talking about guys that again are filling team needs. Hey, this guy can come in, be a contributor, and go from there. So Cassius Howe to the San Francisco 49ers. Next is going to be the Houston Texans. Again, running back. There's a big gap there, guys. I think you guys will learn to know that after we've done a few mocks, but there is a very, very big gap. Other needs are center, guard, and defensive interior. Honestly, guys, I'm gonna go a little. No, we'll stick with team needs. I was gonna go tackle because we all know that CJ Stroud should be protected, but Peter Woods here, guys. I like Peter Woods. Honestly, I think that he is the better option. I think that he is the top dog, but I think that Caden McDonald fit Buffalo just a little bit better. I'm going to take Peter Woods here to the Houston Texans. On the clock, the Chiefs. Now, we took DB with the first one, right? We took Mansour Delane from LSU. Phenomenal pick, in my opinion. Okay, other picks, wide receiver, edge, and DB. I think you get great value here in Keldrick Falk. I think he helps. He comes in. He's a contributor. We're talking about a late round first. Again, as long as the guy can come in and contribute, we're solid. All right. On the clock, Miami again. This is coming with the pick from the Jalen Waddle trade So this has been updated since. Okay, so with our first pick, we took. Oh, come on, I froze. He froze here. There we go. We took my. That was our first one, right? Uh, guard and a DB. Nothing that jumps off the page right here. I could see Colton Hood. I also could see this flip flop, guys. I could also see them go up here. I could see them go and then get more of KC Conception back here. I do honestly like KC Conception to the Pats, but you know, but we are going to take Denzel Boston. I think he's the better wide receiver there. Bigger set gives Malik Willis a bigger body to go to. Again, guys, they just traded Waddle. They're getting rid of Tyreek Hill. I think their next top guy is Malik Washington. Malik Washington, wide receiver 1, yeah, right. So, I mean, for you guys that are sitting at home talking about he just took back-to-back wide receivers, don't be surprised because that's a screaming team need. Believe me. All right, now we got the New England Patriots. Now, we have a buddy over here at Sports Lounge Media, Ken Pat Talk. Go check him out. Wonderful Pats fan. He wants Denzel Boston. So sorry about that for the pick before. As I said, I do like KC Conception here to come in and give Dre May a weapon, but we're sticking with the team needs, right? We got to stick to our guns for this mock draft. Tackle is a screaming need. We got to give Will Campbell some help. Drake May some protection. And I think that, Caden Proctor, I would have taken him at 23 for the Eagles. So there's no reason I won't take him at 31. So we're going to go Caden Proctor to the Pats. And then last but not least, guys, we are on to the Seattle Seahawks. Edge, running back, and DB, right? Running back, I'm not so sure, right? They got Charbonnet, Holani. I think they just signed somebody too, but obviously, the big news is Kenneth Walker went to the Chiefs. Big news, big firepower. Seattle lost a big part of the Super Bowl run that they were just a part of. Again, not any screaming running backs right off the board. I don't want to read it. So here we're going to, again, with that back up. And I think here, guys, we go TJ Parker to end it out, right? So here we are. We're going to nano off real quick. We're going to show it so that way you guys can get full look at it. She's taking her sweet time. Okay, that's okay. All right, so let's just go over this real quick, guys. We'll just do a real quick recap. So going from picks 1 through 32, at 1 we have obviously the clear number 1 pick, Fernando Mendoza is the franchise quarterback for the Raiders. 2, Jets get some defensive help in David Bailey. 3, Cardinals get also some defensive help to potentially go for Arch Manning next year. Titans get their franchise running back, Cam Ward, a little bit of help there. Giants get some help for Jackson Dart and Malik Neighbors, and they are scary. Cleveland, Francois Munaga. Shadir deserves a full year, in my opinion. Let's give him some protection to prove so, right? Again, also in some Arch Manning sweepstakes there. Washington Commanders. Washington Commanders, I could see them taking a stab at Caleb Downs. They definitely need a defensive stud playmaker. I could see that. Again, guys, this is based off of team needs, not wants or best player available. This is more so if we all all 32 GMs strategically sat down and said, these are the holes and these are what we're going to fix, right? New Orleans Saints gets Sonny Styles at linebacker. He gets a little bit of a mentorship from Demario Davis. At 9, we got Mansour Delane, big corner hole in Kansas City right now. I think this is the best move for them. At 10, we got the Bengals taking Reuben Baines Jr. Their defense continues to be a focal point, and it needs to be. 11, and again, I could swap these guys. I could see, maybe them taking Jermod McCoy here and still getting a Denzel Washington or Boston later in the round. So considering they got that late first, they could switch both of these up. The Chiefs and the Dolphins are in a very, very good position. So, but we got him taking Mekhi Lemon at 11. Jermod McCoy going to the Cowboys at 12. Spencer Fano giving Matthew Stafford and the next guy just a little bit of protection there. Ravens taking Jordan Tyson, giving Lamar another target to throw to. Kenyon Sadiq giving Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a weapon. The Jets at 16. Again, I could see, there was back-to-back edge rushers here maybe, but I think that Avon Terrell comes in and is the CB1 for the New York Jets. So I think the Jets had a good draft as well. At 17, the Detroit Lions are Monroe Freeling. Again, to help out Penei Sewell and an offensive line that lost quite a bit of talent over the offseason. Number 18, the Minnesota Vikings take Dylan Theinman. I think this is the Harrison Smith replacement, and rightfully so. Number 19, Carolina Panthers get Bryce Young some help and Omar Cooper Jr. I don't think Xavier Legette has necessarily worked out. Jamie Horns is not really looking like he was anything, and it is what it is. Get him some help. Cowboys for the second time take CJ Allen. I think this is a good steal considering we were considering taking him at 12. 21. I talked about that quarterback gap, guys. I think this quarterback gap is huge. I don't even know if this is a first round talent in Ty Simpson, but it's definitely a team need. We don't know what's going to go on with Rodgers. Is Will Howard the answer? There's a lot of questions that surround the Steelers quarterback room. So at 22, we take the Penn State guard to replace Mekhi Becton, who just got released from the Chargers in the offseason. At 23, the Eagles, they fill a glaring need at safety in McNeil Warren, Quinyon Mitchell's old running mate, and, replace one with the other. So it makes a lot of sense. 24, Blake Miller. Again, we went back-to-back tackles. So yes, I understand that. And I could see this happening. Again, with a new coach, they're going to want to protect Shadur, as they should. And I think that, you could see a wide receiver at 24. You could see, you could see something else. But I think, in my opinion, if you could bolster both sides of the offensive line, why not? 25, the Chicago Bears, Akeem Mesidor, edge rusher. 26, Caden McDonald. Again, this was just a scheme fit. I could see Peter Woods being up here. I could see a couple other guys being up here, but I just think that they like Caden McDonald. I think they're high on his game tape, and I think that'll be their pick. So 27, Cassius Hal. Again, I think this is another Mikael Williams, just a filler player. They need help on the defense health-wise, and prayers up for their medical team. Houston Texans. You need some defensive interior help. Peter Woods will definitely bring in some interior power. Again, we go back to the Dolphins and the Chiefs. I think these could kind of be go any way, but edge rusher was another need. So Kedrick Falk is definitely, honestly, in my opinion, a steal at this point. I think he's the 22nd ranked prospect, and you get him at 29. So And again, Miami, we go back to back wide receivers. Why not? They just lost Jalen Waddle in a trade, Tyreek Hill because he's released. Malik Washington is the best guy that they have. They're not winning. Malik Willis, you can't do that to Malik Willis and Devon Chan. Get him some young wide receivers in here, and let him show you what he can do. I mean, it makes sense to me. Caden Proctor, tackle for the New England Patriots. I know this is going to upset some people, but again, tackle's a need, and I think that you protect the future, you protect Jake May, and I think Caden Proctor at this point is an absolute steal at the end of the first. To finish it off, we got T.J. Parker in Seattle, and again, you just got off a Super Bowl run. There's no running backs to replace Kenneth Walker, in my opinion, and I think you just bolster that defense. So, but that'll be it for us tonight, guys. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. We had to do some quick maneuvering here tonight. Sports Lounge Media go live on YouTube. So if you guys have not checked out them, check them out. Big things happening over here. To finish us off, guys, we didn't do the big announcement, right? On April 22nd, the Marshall Experience, and along with Down South Philly, we will both be live in Pittsburgh at the draft, bringing you guys coverage, bringing you guys the inside stories, the interviews. We couldn't be more than excited about it. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about it. So, this will be a first for us. This will be a first for a lot of people. And again, we are more than excited to bring you guys that content and bring you guys those experiences. So yeah, that's it. April 22nd. We will be at the draft all 3 days. So excited about the interviews that are possible and the outcome that's going to come of it. So again, guys, I much appreciate you. We are excited to be back. This was very much fun. We can look forward to this Sundays and Wednesdays. Again, I appreciate everybody coming in. I appreciate it. We will see you on Sunday. All right. Sunday, we are going to do another mock draft. I don't think that we're going to get into trades just yet. I think more of so we're going to maybe flirt with like the top 5 in trades, but majority of it, I mean, we're going to do one each Sunday, Wednesday. We're going to be live on TikTok doing them during the week. We really want to get some fan interaction before we go to the draft. So kind of give different couple opinions and see where we can go. But again, guys, I appreciate you coming in. We will see you guys on Sunday. Thank you.